Okay, so I think I'm live. Live. I've just okay, I've been really nervous about doing this today, and I know it sounds really silly, but I did so many over lockdown, and now I haven't been on here so much. But I'm streaming it for the first time through quite a few places. So normally I only used to stream it through um Facebook on my group, but I've actually now streamlining it on YouTube and LinkedIn. So this is quite a bit of a thing for me today. So this is my first live for a while. Hopefully, if you are joining me, if you have a quick look at the live, the StreamYard thing in the corner, I can't see your comments. Okay, until you click on that and let me see them. So you just come up as somebody else. So if you're watching this, if you could do that, that'd be great. So why did I decide to do this live today? There's several reasons. I think it's probably me just sharing my experiences over the last few months, and then I thought what I would try and do is share them once a week around this time, and just because hopefully it will help other people to see that even though you might be been running a business for 20 years, there comes occasions when you still get into overwhelm, and there's nothing wrong with that. And what I have learned to do in the times that it's like that. So hopefully I am live. It's saying I'm live, so I'm hoping it is. But anyway, who knows? So the first thing I wanted to share probably with you guys was that the first thing I do when I feel that I'm in overwhelm, and I think a lot of salon owners and a lot of people that own spas and well-being places get to this point at some time, because we're trying to juggle so many jobs, everything from marketing, managing staff to I don't know, and a lot of us are still on the floor. So for instance, you're also trying to run a busy clientele as well, and the amount of jobs that as salon owners we do is unbelievable. So I one of the things, I mean, I'm not a salon owner myself anymore. I have a salon, but I don't work in my salon anymore. My main business is my training academy, which is where I help hair and beauty and spa owners to use our apprenticeship schemes. And that's what I did when I was building my business. But the same thing applies whatever business you've got. So when you're working with staff and you're working with lots of different systems, there'll become times where you feel really overwhelmed, and this has happened to me on numerous occasions and quite recently, and that's why hence why I'm on here sharing it today. So for me, one of the things that I find when I am in overwhelm is I go for a walk. So I love to go out, and I think what we do, especially as salon owners, we tend not to do that. We think that if we're in overwhelm, we have to work harder. And what I've learned, definitely in the last 12 months, that is probably the worst thing to do, because when you're in overwhelm, then you don't think properly, you act emotionally, you act probably not you will make decisions that are probably not the right decisions. So the best thing to do is to take some time out, and even if it's just one day or a couple of days, whatever you feel is going to help you. In my experience, when that happens, the answers flow so much easily. So it might not be just going for a walk in the park, or it might not be a walk going down to the seafront. It could be visiting a friend, or like in my sake, I was going to visit my daughter. I always find when I go and talk to her, I can share, because I feel comfortable with her, I can share what I'm going through, and she will always come back with things that I haven't really thought about. And sometimes it's just sharing it and getting it off your chest and speaking to somebody else that's not linked with what you're doing, that makes you feel better. And then once you've done that, you can then come back into your business and make the right decisions. So that was one of the things today, and I know that I'm also streaming this in our student Facebook group as well. And I want just to say that everybody's experience are different. And I was talking to a salon owner who's actually not sold a business. She's decided to close her business at the end of February to go down a different path. And I think that's something else that I think can happen. When you really have, when you go into overwhelm, especially, we have to go back to our why. So why we're doing this, and why, what are the reasons behind building our businesses, and have we lost sight of that, and is it the right thing for us to be doing? So in in some cases, especially after the last 2 years that salon owners have had because of COVID, I think some people will be feeling at this point that they might not want to do it anymore, and that's okay. And I think you need to sometimes not beat yourself up if that's the decision that you come to, and realize that we all build our businesses for different things. So like for me, an example of why I build my business is because I want to help young people get into the sector, and I want them to understand what a fantastic sector it is, and how it can change their lives like it did me. I mean, I didn't get back into the sector till I was 38, after being put off by my grandparents, and saying that there was no money to be made in it, and that's why I actually left my job at 38 and got back in. But some people are actually just starting out on their journey, don't really know what they want to do, etc. So for me, my why is helping them make that decision, and making sure that they're making the right decision, and if they are, helping them along that journey. And also seeing other businesses using the apprenticeship schemes that we use, and how that can benefit their businesses going long term. And also sharing my experiences as a business owner. I love to be able to, I think when you're successful at something, you want to be able to show people what you did and how it's changed for you, and how it's changed your life for the positives. But there are some occasions when things change. So for instance, I literally once a year sit down and decide what I want to achieve for the next 12 months. And because I am a real creative person, I find it very difficult, sometimes, not to be distracted, and look at other things. And what tends to happen when you're distracted is then you go away from the course that you were doing before. So sometimes it's about revisiting that reason that you decided to get into this in the first place. Is that still your why? If it's not, it's okay to change. And I think we beat ourselves up thinking that we can't change and go in a different direction, that we feel like we're a failure if we decide that, that the hair and beauty sector is not for us, or we don't want to run a business, a salon business, and we want to go out on our own. We think that people will look at us and say to us that we've been a failure. But ultimately, when it all comes down to it, when we're on our deathbed, or wherever we're going to end up, all those things really aren't going to matter. What really matters is what matters to us. And I think it's really important when we're sitting down and thinking about where we see ourselves in the next, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. Is this the right path that we're on, and are we enjoying it, and is it something that we like to do? If you're watching this, I can't see your comments you're not if you don't click on the StreamYard and let me know who it is, so I can't respond to you. It just comes up as Facebook user. So if you click on the little StreamYard thing, it will tell you what to do, and then I can see who you are. So you might not want me to see who it is. So for me, I think it's really important that, oh, hi Becky, I can see you now. So for me, it's really important, firstly, to know what your why is, to sit down, and one of the things I think that we do is, when we're looking for our why, we don't look deep enough. So like, I think you need to write it down 3 times, so like, write why, and then write why you're doing it, but write it down 3 whys. Somebody, one of my mentors told me to do that, and it really helped me. And my why is my security of my family. When I leave this planet, I just want to have made sure that they're all going to be okay. So that's a big so that is my real why. That's what gets me out of bed in the morning. That's what makes me want to, and I want to spend time with my family. Now, if you had asked me 25 years ago, 25 years ago, how old are my kids, 32 years ago, what I wanted, my why would have been completely different, because I didn't have children at that point. So it's really, and my kids are now all grown up with their own families, and I've got grandchildren, and I think that your why changes on a regular basis. So once a year, that what you wanted, I don't know, last year may have changed, or you may have deviated. COVID has changed a lot of things for people. Maybe they've realised that the job that they're in, or the place they're in at the moment, is not where they want to be, and that's fine. And I think, you've got to really not be embarrassed if you decide that it's not, I don't know about you guys, but I think men are much more, they're not so driven by emotion, whereas women, which is a really good thing, but we become emotionally attached to our businesses and maybe carry on with something for a lot longer than we really should, and we need to make that decision sometimes that it's not for us. Now, I'm not saying everybody on here that's watching me is going to do that, but when you're in overwhelm, I think you need to go back to your why are you doing this? What are you hoping to achieve out of it? Is it going to get you what you really want at the end of the day? And if it's not, then make a decision and change the path. So I just wanted to get on here today and just share that with you guys, because I know in our salon business there's a lot of people currently at the moment who are really finding it difficult with all the juggling that we're doing at the moment. And I think sometimes you just need to go back to exactly why you got on here, why you're doing what you're doing. And if it's not what you want to do a bit more, don't feel embarrassed to actually say that to people and say, do you know what, this is something that I decided I don't want to go. And because you're not failing. Everything that you do in life is a lesson. So everything you learn from, I mean, I remember when I was younger and I used to try all sorts of businesses till I finally actually opened my salon in 2001. I had tried so many different things, and if anyone knew me years and years ago, there's no way that you would have thought I would be in the hair and beauty sector, to be really honest. No one would have said that, or running a training academy. And I know how difficult it was when I made the decision to come away from just owning a salon and open my training academy instead, because it wasn't getting me the fulfillment that I wanted. So I looked for something else. And I think it gets to a point in everybody's business that those decisions need to be made. And that doesn't have to just be in business. That can be in a job as well. I mean, how many of us are doing what jobs that we really don't want to have to do anymore, and we're not enjoying it? And that, like I said earlier on, COVID was a massive, and that was something that during COVID, I think a lot of people made decisions. And I think as salon owners, we've had a lot of people that may have left during COVID because they decided it's not for them. I've seen quite a few salons make a decision that they just don't want to go back afterwards. I've seen hair, stylists and nail techs and beauty therapists decide to open up on their own and go self-employed. There's been such a lot of changes. But I've been a lot of the Facebook groups, and I've seen so many people really struggling at all different times and worrying about what to do. And I wanted to just come on here today and just say, do you know what, I'm going to try and do these lives once a week, because I stopped after COVID thinking that people probably wouldn't, because when I did my Facebook lives before, it was all about COVID and about how everyone's coping. But I think there's still an element out there that we're all quite struggling at the moment with, and I think it needs to be addressed. And just to say, it's not the end of the world if you've decided that that's not for you, or even if you take that time out and go, right, this is what I've got to focus on. So for me, once I know what I want to do, what I want to achieve, they're my priorities, and then I set 3 things a week that I'm going to focus on to do with that. And when I have lots of other opportunities come to me, and I think we're very much guilty of fear of missing out. So what we tend to do sometimes is that instead of actually saying no to those things, we take on far too much, even to the point where we're really good at something in the salon, or we're very good at a treatment, and then we jump to another treatment too early. So I hope that's helped someone today. I'm not going to stay on for hours and hours, but I just thought I'd come on, and I'll be back on next week with another subject. Don't really know what it will be. I never know until just before it, because things change so quickly. But before I jump off, I will just mention something. I'm just going to put also a link to the Ukraine charity that I'm raising money for at the moment. I know a lot of salon owners tomorrow will be there's a campaign at the moment where we are sending money over to Ukraine instead of just sending supplies, because there's a bottleneck. So it's been very difficult to get those supplies through to the front lines. So where people are coming over from Poland, into Poland or the surrounding areas, so to get those things to them, and this charity basically sends money directly to them, so the people on the ground, it can be, given for shelter and water, etc., etc. So I just thought I'd mention that, and I will put that in all my groups so that people can make a decision if they want to support that. And there's also a hashtag in there so that you can put it on your socials if you decide to do what I've just said. So thank you for the guys that joined me today live. Like I said, I was so nervous about going on here today. I haven't done it for a while in all of the different the groups. Just so you know, if I haven't replied to you, it's because you come up as Facebook user and I can't see you unless you click on the StreamYard, because I'm actually streaming this into lots of different places. So thank you everybody for joining me today. I've actually got StreamYard working, so I'll see you next week about 1 o'clock. Oh no, next week I'm not here actually, because I'm on a course. It's the week afterwards I'll be back in, which will be not next week, not next week, week afterwards. I'll try and come in once a week after that and send my and share my learnings with you. Thanks guys, see you later.